Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Welcome to episode 102 of the Old Mage MTG podcast with your hosts, Old Mage Steve and Old Mage Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like the show, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube or on whatever podcast app you use. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify. If you'd like to support us for free, that's the key. This is free for you. Make your next TCG player purchase using our affiliate link. We have a TCG affiliate link. We put it in the description of the episode below. Shout out to my new favorite person in the world, a personal hero of mine, whoever it was that clicked our affiliate link last episode. Thank you for the 84 cents. That's the first 84 cents that have come our way in a very long time. It is much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex, it has been a while since last episode. About 2 weeks. Haven't talked Magic for a long time. Haven't talked about life for a long time. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to?
Have you been raking leaves?
No, I knew I was gonna yet. I have to now though. My first tree came down.
I was wondering if you were stressing out about the leaves, if the parents were being like, Alex, our grass is dying. You need to get over here and sweep the leaves. Not sweep the leaves, rake the leaves. Browns. What about the Browns?
Oh, they're terrible. They're terrible. Boy. Wow.
What was it? Have there been 2 games since we talked last? I haven't paid any attention to
Maybe, yeah.
I haven't paid attention to them, but I did see a tweet in my timeline that was just like going off about the current team, the current leadership, the decisions they've made over the last few years. The quarterback, is he the highest paid quarterback in the... Okay, I'm way off.
He's very highly paid.
He's very highly paid. Is he still playing?
Yeah, he is. And I mean, like, I don't know anyone who is excited about rooting for them with Deshaun Watson on the roster. Like, I think all the Browns fans are like, at least everyone I know is like, it makes it hard to root for them. They just want him gone.
Have they gotten smashed the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Has it been embarrassing?
Yeah.
I stopped watching. I've probably told this story before. I've said it to you, I don't know how many times. When we went to the game, it was the first Browns game I ever went to in person. This is probably like 10 years ago now or something. We went to the game. It was so bad. I said, I don't think I'm ever going to watch another Browns game again. It's kind of like what I did after Star Wars Episode 1, where I was like, this was so bad. This was such a waste of my time. Star Wars is over. That's it. No more for the rest of my fucking life. The Browns game was so bad, and it wasn't that they lost, because I've never been a front runner like all the teams that I follow. I don't usually follow I don't usually become a fan of like the top team, the top player. I have different reasons for choosing the teams that I like to root for. So it wasn't that they were losing. It's just that I had never seen a group of like professional athletes seem to give absolutely zero fucks when they were when they were on the field. That's the impression I got. I don't know if that's what's happening now too. But
you start to get into a situation where the teams just start to like be thinking about next year and their draft position and so
I know
that's not fun for anyone to watch,
But the thing is, you'd think if they were thinking about next year for like the past 15 years that something would have got better at some point. It's not happening. It's not happening. But anyways, that's enough non-Magic talk, Alex. We're not here for that bullshit. We're here to talk about Magic. So let's start with something I call Segment 0. This is a new segment we've been bringing to the show for the last few episodes. Segment 0 is always things we are not talking about. And since these are things we're actually not supposed to be talking about today, I don't want to spend too much time on them. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. And again, I'm going to try to go no more than 10 minutes on things we're not talking about. Last episode, I fucking nailed it, Alex.
I remember
Number 1, the first thing we're not going to talk about, Duskmourn. House
Ah,
of Horror was released, Alex. It is the 102nd Magic the Gathering expansion set. It was released on September 27th, 2024. That was just after we filmed episode 101. So this is the first episode we've had since Duskmourn House of Horror was released. According
oh
to the
wow, I thought it
Wizards,
had been out longer than that already.
no, not officially. There might have been like, they have that like pre-release weekend or something
Right, right,
usually.
right.
Some might have been some of that bullshit. Wizards of the Coast tells me Duskmourn House of Horror is a top-down designed modern horror set based on the haunted house trope inspired by the 70s, 80s, and 90s horror and slasher films. I feel like there's a lot of different horror genres packed into the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It contains 276 cards, 91 commons, 100 uncommons, 60 rares, 20 mythic rares, and 5 basic lands. What were those lands? What would they be? What could the basic lands possibly be?
Are you asking me to say Plains, Forest, Island, Mountain,
Well, that's only 4 of them.
Swamp?
Yes, I was asking you to say those. You nailed it, Alex.
No, I didn't. I fumbled that horribly.
No, that was good. That was pretty good, though. Could have been much worse. As you know on this show, loyal listeners, I primarily review new sets to see what pre-modern legal cards were reprinted in those sets, because that's the format that we've been focusing on since you and I came back to Magic in the early 2020s. In Duskmourn, there is only one pre-modern reprint, and it is Pyroclasm. Alex, they reprinted Pyroclasm.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
That was it. Ask me
Just
again.
dipping their toe in.
Ask me again if that was it.
Is that it?
No, I was lying, actually.
Oh, okay.
Now ask me again one more time.
Was that it, Steve?
It is it. Yeah, actually, it was just Pyroclasm. Pyroclasm, one colorless, one red. Sorcery deals 2 damage to each creature. Originally printed in Ice Age. Why do I look for pre-modern reprints in these new sets? 2 reasons. One, sometimes they reprint some like fairly expensive cards. Some cards are like 20, $30, maybe even more in some cases, to buy in their original printing. As somebody like me who's on a budget, I like to look for cheaper reprints. And these new sets sometimes offer us cheaper reprints. Here's the promo pack, House of Horrors
I don't hate that.
from
That art
Duskmourn. It's not bad.
scorched a
Not
lot of
bad at all.
bugs.
Are those bugs or skulls?
Oh,
Maybe
skull
they're
bugs?
That's what I
Scully
was gonna
spiders?
say. I was gonna say bug skulls, but you could be right when you say skull bugs. Pyroclasm, that was about it.
By
I
the
was
way, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was waffling earlier when you were like, that's it. And I was like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, no, it's not it. And I was like, just kidding, it is it. It's kind of it. In the main set, this is the only pre-modern reprint.
Okay.
But they also released something called Special Guest. They do this
Oh,
sometimes. There
mhm.
were 10 special guest cards for Duskmourn, and one of those cards is also pre-modern legal. It is Soul Warden.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, sometimes I look for reprints because they're cheaper. In the case of Pyroclasm and Soul Warden, you don't really care because they were already cheap to begin with, even in their original printing. Soul Warden originally printed in Exodus. But the other reason is, sometimes they just print it with some cool art. You might want to pick up the cool art. There are other people who they get their jollies kind of making pre-modern decks, but with all crazy like modern frame art, because
Mhm.
that triggers certain old men mages. They sit down for a nice gentlemanly game of pre-modern. They're expecting to see old frame cards, and somebody hits them, with some of this borderless bullshit. It throws them off their game. So it's almost like it's the art of war, Alex.
I have
It's a
to admit,
mental warfare tactic.
to being a bit that way myself. I like working in some of these new art versions just a little, at least, especially online when I'm like messing around on Moxfield. It's like I
Yeah.
don't have to buy them or anything, so I'm just kind of swapping art around and moving different cards in and out.
I'm gonna go to a meetup this weekend. I was thinking about doing a little some of that myself with some of the 30th edition Secret Lair. factories. Mishra's factories.
Oh, nice.
I like to call these the best. The best version, the best ever printing of Mishra's Factory.
That's strong, really.
30th edition countdown
I
kit.
liked them as soon as I saw it. I thought it was cool. It reminds me, I've said before, of like, old video game. It's kind of pixelated, looks like Super Nintendo Mishra's Factory.
I don't actually think they're the best. I will say that to upset people.
I see.
But I do think it's very cool. I think it's
Code
very cool.
name, the best ones.
But yeah, Dustcore, or sorry, Dustmore and House of Horror, just 2 pre-modern reprints.
I
Other
noticed
classes
something the
still
other
working.
day on the same topic, actually. I happened to notice that the card Reset got a reprint in Mystery Boosters 2.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even following Mystery Boosters too. Really?
Yeah, it is the first ever
Wow.
reprint of Reset,
Damn.
which is not a reserved list card because it is an uncommon.
Yeah, and they gave it that this treatment, whatever. What's this? The planar site, the uh, future site, future site border.
Sure, yes.
We haven't made it to this set yet. We'll figure out what this set is someday. But I think it's future site.
I think so. That sounds right. I don't
It
want
says
to.
right there, reset future site. There we go.
Okay. But yeah,
Okay.
first ever reprint. This is a card I bought a while back, and I think I noticed it as a card that had never been reprinted, not reserved list though, and I was kind of like, Plus, it's kind of cool, neat card. I haven't played it at all though because we've been playing pre-modern and it's
Yeah.
Legends card. So
Well, we could start a format for you, Alex. Pre-modern plus reset from Legends, if you want to. We make there's nothing stopping us.
yeah.
Okay. One other important thing I wanted to mention about Duskmourn, House of Horror, is that there don't seem to be many people talking about it. I don't know if this has been your experience, Alex, when you look around the places on the internet where you look around for magic information, but like nobody, at least on my Twitter feed, is saying a goddamn thing about Duskmourn, House of Horror. And yes, I follow largely like old school and pre-modern people, but I will say, I mean, Bloomborough was all over my feed, and so were some other, recent sets. Not,
Seems like kind of a lukewarm reception to me.
yeah, I'm not seeing anybody talk about it at all. So be curious to see how this ends up. Like, LGSs are just stuck with a bunch of packs from this set. Maybe, you know, people are just a little bit burnt out. It's towards the end of the year, and maybe it'll get renewed interest at some other point. Maybe there's some sleeper cards in there that people just haven't discovered yet that are gonna, bring some excitement to formats where they're legal. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing a damn thing about the set at all. So
Yeah, and I haven't looked at it too closely, but I haven't been too impressed with like the art and the style of it really. So I don't know. For a horror
nothing
set,
that
I
got,
just kind of expected something different.
yeah, nothing that got me excited. But that's part one of segment 0. Part 2, the other thing I wanted to talk about is a special secret layer super drop dropped for spooky season. It was the Camp Totally Safe super drop. Secret layer Ghostbusters. The real Ghostbusters
I saw there was a Slimer
secret layer, Alex.
set of
Why would they
Slimer
make
cards.
a Ghostbusters secret layer, you ask?
Why would they make a Ghostbusters secret lair?
I don't know. I don't think there's really a good reason to make a Ghostbusters secret layer. I think they just feel like around every October they have to do something like Halloween or spooky related, and they're going to run out of ideas. Right now, they're just going with Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
One cool thing about the Ghostbuster secret layer is it does have a few pre-modern reprints, actually, Alex.
Oh, cool.
You got Careful Study, which I do like Slimer I mean, I like Slimer. This is pretty cool art. So if you want to get some alternative art, some unique art for your Careful Studies in your pre-modern deck, pick up the Slimer Careful Study. They also reprinted Living End. Oh, you hear that, Alex? 10 minutes is up.
Oh,
Now I'm going to restart. 10 more minutes because we make the rules. 10 more minutes. They also reprinted Living End. It's now called Total Containment Failure. So suspend 3, 2 colorless, 2 black. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. How much is the original Living End? Careful Study is a cheap card. Living End. It's taking a while to load. Don't Fail Me MTG stocks. There we go. Scratch everything I said. This is from Time Spiral. It's not pre-modern legal. I should have known that, and I had a suspicion when it said suspend. Scratch that.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up and figure out which card I couldn't remember.
But you
But I
know
have
what
seen
is
this since it was printed in Time Spiral.
you know what is pre-modern legal? Eladomri's Call, which
Ah,
is
okay.
currently $10.38 in its original plane shift version. You can pick up Answer the Call in the Ghostbuster Secret Lair. I don't know why you would do such a thing. But maybe
I'm not
one
really sure
wants
either.
maybe one wants to do that. I'm not in love with this secret layer. In addition to just a general Ghostbuster secret layer, you were correct, Alex. There is a Slimer secret layer.
Mhm.
We got some pre-modern reprints in the Slimer secret layer as well. The Mimeoplasm, which is not pre-modern. Trickbind, not pre-modern legal. But Windfall is.
Oh, okay.
Also known now as Slimer's Feast. 2 colorless, 1 blue, sorcery. Each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded that away. I don't think Windfall is very expensive. I believe that's an Urza's Saga call card.
Yeah, Urza's Saga,
$3.68.
$3.79.
There we go. I prefer this art. But whatever, maybe you're a huge Slimer fan. And then Pernicious Deed, which is actually a great reprint. Very unique Pernicious Deed art.
Okay.
I've never really loved the original Pernicious Deed art. I don't know why. It's just something, it just doesn't speak to me. This card is now more expensive than I thought it was. It's a $15 card now. Perhaps you can pick up a cheaper version with Slimer. A borderless Slimer Pernicious Deed. Why would one do such a thing, Alex?
Ah,
Nobody knows. Next secret layer, a Chucky secret layer.
oh boy.
Weird one. I don't know of a good way really to work Chucky into Magic the Gathering, but they're giving it the old college try. Is there a pre-modern reprint in the Chucky secret layer? There is one, Phyrexian Reclamation. Now also known as Sorry Jack, Chucky's Back. For 1 black. It's an enchantment. You can pay 1 colorless, 1 black, and 2 life. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. One of many cards that returns creatures from your graveyard to your hand, which are never as good as the ones that return creatures from your graveyard straight to play.
Plus says Chucky on it. I don't like Chucky.
Chucky's not that interesting.
I always thought Chucky was lame.
Extremely overrated. I don't know anybody who really loves Chucky. Don't know anybody who really loves Bride of Chucky. Who played Bride of Chucky when we were Jennifer Tilly? It just came
Yes.
back to me now.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Why do you remember that?
I just remember it.
So do I. Next, secret layer, Tome of the Astral Sorceress. I dig this art more than it's very abstract. This
At least
speaks to
it's
me.
its own thing. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's its own thing. This speaks to me a
original.
lot more than the Ghostbuster and Chucky art. I actually These are my favorite types of secret layers, actually. When they hire an artist to give to make like unique treatments with
Hmm.
their particular style
Yeah.
of old cards.
And these have kind of like a, I don't know what you want to call them, like a little bit tarot card, a little bit like they remind me of like old Dungeons and Dragons books,
Hmm.
a little bit. Maybe some kind of like, I don't know, charts, star charts.
Yeah, it does very much have a tarot feel to it. And there is one pre-modern reprint in the Tome of the Astral Sorcerer's Secret Lair. It's back to basics. 2 colorless, 1 blue enchantment. Non-basic lands don't untap during their controller's untap step.
Okay.
And then we got 2 others. No pre-modern reprints in these, but there is some interesting art here. Showcase, Duskmorn, art by multiple artists. Phyrexian Metamorph, Cauldron Familiar, Dalthy Voidwalker, Magus of the Moon, which is a card that I thought was very cool when I first saw these Magi. I can't remember what set these first came out in, but they were all creatures that had abilities that matched the effects of classic enchantments from the history of Magic the Gathering. So Magus of the Moon was, Blood Moon. There's one that's I think called Magus of the Moat. There's several others too. I can't remember them all. And
Yeah, I
then
remember talking about this.
Witch's Oven. And then we have Monstrous Magazines, art by Ed Repka. I wonder, there's been several secret layers that have come out in the
Hmm.
style of like old pulp horror
Yeah.
novels. Not sure if Ed has done some of the previous ones too, or if he's new to the secret layer game, but
It's a
it's kind of
creepy
interesting.
skinless jackal dog thing.
It's a chupacabra,
That was a
Alex.
chupacabra. Okay, yeah. I didn't
Come
read.
on, Alex. You don't recognize the chupacabra?
Looks kind of like the demons from The Gate, radical 80s horror movie.
We watched The Gate at one of my old birthday parties.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I'm pretty sure that was the birthday party where my 2 friends from Boardman came over and they fell asleep early. And then somebody tried to put their finger in the water to make them pee and it woke them up and they got mad. We also did some prank calls. That's all I
Prank
remember.
calls.
I remember prank calls and the gate, a classic 11-year-old birthday party from the early 90s.
If you like cheesy 80s horror movies with creepy claymation demons, The Gate is for you.
This would actually be a good secret layer.
The Gate, yeah.
The gate. I don't know how many
Oh, yeah.
people would be excited about it, but I feel like everybody from our age group has probably seen the gate multiple times.
I don't know if I
I,
can go that far, but
you don't think so?
no.
Okay. No, I felt like it was super popular. It's not that niche, is it?
It's a little
I mean,
niche.
it was definitely even just like on television, just from time to time, sometimes like in the
Yeah.
90s, right?
Hmm.
Anyways, but that's it. That is the end of segment 0. Things we're not going to talk about today. It went 19 minutes instead of 10 minutes, but that's
Oh
close
boy.
enough.
Oh boy.
That's close enough. We're doing our best here. Now let's get to what we're really here to talk about, people. We're here to talk about some old frame, pre-modern Magic cards. Segment 1, we're going back to Weatherlight. We've been talking about Weatherlight quite frequently last few episodes. Back in episode 98, we discussed Weatherlight in a Mike Flores article from 2007 that was titled "The Weatherlight Cards That Changed the World." We've been juicing the shit out of this article, Alex. We're squeezing everything we can out of it. It happened to, I thought it was a great article. It gave me all sorts of ideas, things that I wanted to talk about, things that I wanted to brew with, things that I remembered that I had forgotten from back in the day. 4 episodes later, I'm still thinking about Weatherlight. Today, I want to talk about a card that wasn't in this article. It wasn't in the list of cards that changed the world, according to Mike Flores, but it definitely made an impact on the tournament scene when it first appeared. and it added a new wrinkle to an already established archetype. That card is Empyrial, not Imperial, Empyrial armor. Alex, what does Empyrial mean?
Imperial. So what?
What does Empyrial mean?
Imperial means celestial.
There we go. We're learning new things all the time. Imperial armor is 1 colorless, 2 white, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +X, where X is equal to the number of cards in your hand. It was printed in Weatherlight. There were no major reprints of this card. Some minor reprints. It was reprinted. I don't even know if I consider these reprints. It was in a World Championship deck with the gold border. It was in Mystery Boosters, and it was printed as an arena promo. So like no major set reprints. Has a rating of 3.954 on Gatherer. The people always enjoyed this card. And has a current market price of 19 cents. It's super cheap. I pulled a copy out of a bulk bin
Oh,
a
nice.
few weeks ago. I was very excited about that. Now I just need to go back, keep digging, find some more copies in the bulk bin.
This card has a bit of like a Fallen Empires feel to me. Like if you change the
Yeah.
book icon to a Fallen Empires crown, I would totally believe that it had been in Fallen Empires.
I get that. I don't know why I get that, but I understand where you're coming from, actually. I didn't think about that, but it would fit in nicely in that set. Why do I feel like that? I don't know.
I think the art's a little bit like, the art fits in, and I think the effect's good, but it's I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. At first glance seems maybe middling, like you're not exactly sure, you know, about it.
It definitely would have been one of the better cards in Fallen
Yes. Oh
Empires.
yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, like the way people used it when it was first printed, you couldn't have used it that way. Uh, when Fallen Empires came out, we'll get into that. Actually, now that I think about it, when it was really in the World Championship decks, it really only flourished because of some of the stuff that came after.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. Some say this angel you looked at this art, it reminds you of Fallen Empires. Other people look at this art, it reminds them of Michael Jackson. Bolast and Gatherer on December 20th, 2010 at 11:59, 18 seconds in the AM said, "Hey, it's Michael Jackson, Rofel." Love this card. He was Rofeling. I don't quite see it.
I'm getting more of a Janet vibe, frankly.
I don't really see any Jackson
No,
in there.
not really. No, no.
I read that comment and I started looking at Michael Jackson faces, and I'm like, maybe I'm just not thinking of the right era of Michael Jackson.
Michael
But like,
Jackson faces.
I don't think 60s eras or 70s era Michael Jackson. No, 60s he was even younger. 80s, I don't see 80s MJ. 90s, 2000s, potentially. I would say potentially very early 2000s MJ. If you had to pick an MJ that looked most like the Imperial armor art, I would say early 2000s MJ. Here, but I don't see it.
No.
I don't see MJ in this art. Multiple people said that. I think they're wrong. Seems like a better version of this card has been printed since Imperial armor first came out in Weatherlight. There's a card called Empyrial Plate. Just want to bring this up. I don't know what just happened when I hit that button. What just flashed up on the screen, Alex? Was it anything?
I didn't even see it.
Okay. Was it anything that I don't want the people to see?
I don't know.
Was it anything inappropriate?
Couldn't tell you.
Empyrial Plate. Printed in Mirrodin. 2 colorless, artifact, equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. So already it's 1 less mana to cast.
But then you have to equip it. Yeah.
It has the same effect, but yes, then you have to equip it. So equip 2, but then you can move it around.
Yeah, and it's colorless. So
That's actually pretty important. Thank you for mentioning that, Alex. I didn't bring that up, but it's true. It's colorless. It's an artifact. First printed in Mirrodin. It's been reprinted in Commander 2016, 3.917 on Gather. Current market price of 69 cents. When I
Quite
wrote the
good
show
rating.
notes, it was 68 cents, and now it has gone up to 69.
That's a quite good rating.
But it is not pre-modern legal, so it's not legal in my format of choice. So I return again to Empyrial Armor. I saw the flavor text of Empyrial Armor, Alex. An angel appeared in the smoldering skies above the fray, her clothes as flames, her armor as fire, from the hymn of Angel Fire. A shout out, I believe, to a legendary legend from Legends, Gabrielle Angelfire.
Oh,
Not the best creature, not the best art. But Gabrielle is worshipped by the followers of the Church of Angel Fire. There's a whole church. Used to be the most popular church in Benalia on the plane of Dominaria. Alex, did you know that?
I did not.
I didn't either because I never read these books. But they made up all these stories after these cards were printed and after we stopped playing. You learned all this stuff. Back in the day when we first saw Legends, we didn't know any of that. None of that was written. None of that was canon yet. We just had this goofy weirdo on this card. Not the best art. I don't want to say anything mean about it, but maybe this was a little bit rushed. I don't know. It's also a
It
terrible
does look kind of
card.
goofy.
It's a terrible angel. Three
Looks like he's
colorless,
gonna chew on that sword.
2 white, 2 green, 4/4. During your upkeep, Gabrielle gains one of the following abilities until your next upkeep: flying, first strike, trample, or rampage 3. What are we doing here, people? Sarah Angel already existed. You made this a legend?
Yeah.
It's infuriating. But back to Empyrial Armor, unless you have anything to say about Gabriel Angel. So what was so cool about
Colorless,
this
one
card?
white, one green. That's what I have to say about that card.
What
Three
how
colorless, one white, one green. That's
that
what.
would be reasonable.
Yeah.
And
It
that
would
would have been
be
a little bit cooler. I still
a
wanted to play it.
diversified Sarah Angel kind of.
Yeah. People would have started running more white green angel decks, probably, 4 Sarahs, a couple Gabriel Angel Fires just for flavor.
Mhm.
Instead, Gabriel Angel Fires just sat in boxes all over the world for 31 years now. No, it was printed in 94, 30 years now. But Imperial Armor, I mean, what made this so cool? I really liked it because it added a new wrinkle to White Weenie decks. White Weenie's been around almost since the beginning of Magic, one of the early deck archetypes that we were all familiar with.
Uh-huh.
Weenie deck typically runs, low casting cost, 1 to 3 mana creatures that are efficient threats. Best way to build a White Weenie deck is to look for creatures with power greater than their casting cost and or some special ability. Alex, I love a 2/2 for 2 with a special ability. You know that about me, Alex. We've talked about it many times. White Knights, Silver Knights, Longbow Archers, True Believers, and Whipcorder if you're playing Premodern. Like both of those. White Weenie also tends to run like targeted removal or board wipes. White has always had some of the best targeted removal and board wipes in the game. Swords to Plowshares, Disenchant, Armageddon, Wrath of God. And then they've always run pump spells to power up your creature base. Crusade and other anthem spells like that. Crusade was the original for White Weenie. Get a couple Crusades, a couple White Knights, you got 4/4 first strikers. Imperial Armor was like another pump spell to add to that arsenal. And yes, it could only pump a single creature, but it gave you the possibility of giving much more than +1/+1 to that single creature. And that's why it was used in a deck. It was brought to Nationals in 1998 by Matt Lindy. I forgot to pull this up earlier. So, oh wait, no, I already did that. Here we go. I was saying I forgot to pull something up, but I already had it pulled up, Alex. White Weenie, Matt Lindy, 1998, U.S. Nationals. This was in a standard tournament. And at the time, so this is just to contextualize, at the time in 1998, standard from July 1st, 1998 to October 31st, 1998, which was in the block of time in which Matt Lindy played this deck in U.S. Nationals 1998, you had as legal sets 5th edition, Mirage, Visions, Weatherlight, Tempest, Stronghold, Exodus. That's it, I believe.
Wow.
And I said, Empyrial armor really became most powerful a little bit after Weatherlight was printed because you saw that it worked really well with some creatures that were first printed in Tempest that had shadow. So, it's one thing to
Ah,
strap up an Empyrial armor to a white weenie to make it, 4/4, 5/5. But, white is not known for things like trample.
yeah.
So
I was
let's
thinking
say
about like first strike would be good with it,
first
but
strike would be good.
shadow's great. Yeah.
But you can get chump blocked a lot. But, now if you have white weenie creatures with shadow, you can get a whole lot of damage through very quick. So in 1998, when he played this at U.S. Nationals, the rest of the top 8 was filled out with different types of decks. You had a couple ProsBloom decks, one that was piloted by Mike Long, MTG supervillain Mike Long. Matt Lindy actually beat him in the finals. It was White Weenie number 1, ProsBloom number 2. You had Forbidian, piloted by John Finkel, which we talked about in a recent episode. You had a couple stupid green decks, which we're going to talk about and cover soon. I want to learn all about the stupid green decks because I love green decks. And you had Curse Sly and Dead Guy Red, which I looked into those deck lists, and they're really slide decks, just red slide decks that also had Curse Scroll thrown in for the first time.
Okay.
So they gave them new names. But we're going to go over this White Weenie deck with Empyrial armor, and we're going to start with the creatures. There were 27 creatures. You have 3 Nomads and Core. 1 white, 1 drop, summon soldiers. For 0, you can redirect 1 damage from Nomads and Core to a creature you control. So that redirection ability is really great when you're running it with other creatures that have protection from different
Yeah.
colors, which White Weenie's known for. You got a lot of pro black, a lot of pro red, which especially comes in handy. You have Paladin and Vec, which I think we talked about on a previous episode when we first saw it. Just a solid knight, a new wrinkle to the knight lineup, another knight to add to your White Weenie arsenal. This one is 3 mana instead of the 2 mana that you have to pay to cast White Knight. But this fella gives you not only first strike and protection from black, it gives you protection from red, which comes in handy more often. You have Soltari Monk. Here's where we start to get into the shadow creatures. This is a 2/1/2 drop with shadow, has pro black. And then you have Soltari Priest, which is a 2 white, 2/1 with shadow, pro red. These are the guys you really want to strap your Empyrial armor to. And then Soltari Visionary, which is 1 colorless, 2 white, 2/2 shadow. If Soltari Visionary damages any player, destroy target enchantment that player controls. So this is in the deck primarily for removal. It's removal on a stick. But there are a lot of cards like this in Magic. If it damages, you do something. Most of the time they don't have shadow. And in those cases, most of the time you never even get the benefit of their other ability because they're just always getting blocked. If they're not blown off the board first, they're at least blocked.
Yeah, I feel like this is a very efficient creature for its mana cost. Like you get, a 2/2 with 2 special abilities for 3 mana.
It's quite good, especially in a deck like this where you want to be aggressive, you want to go sideways, and you have an enchantment to pump up these shadow creatures. So yeah, okay, let's say you're playing somebody who doesn't even have a deck with any powerful enchantments in it. The enchantment ability doesn't even come into play. It's just, another way to push through shadow damage.
Mhm.
I like it. You have Soul Warden, which was recently reprinted in Duskmourn House of Horror, whatever the fuck. Whatever the bonus cards are. You know what I'm saying?
Special guests.
Special guests, yes. 1-drop, 1/1 cleric. We've talked about this, I think, in our cleric episode. Whenever any other creature comes into play, gain 1 life. I like having a card like this as a 1-drop in any sort of aggressive creature horde deck because it can make all the difference for you if you're playing another aggressive deck, like a burn deck or something. It can keep you alive
Yeah.
just 1 or 2 turns longer, and that might be all you need to deal lethal damage to the
Yeah. If
opponent.
they have bigger creatures with trample or bigger creatures that are, hard for you to deal with your weenies, and you need to get a couple extra turns out of it while you're going around them. Yeah.
Warrior Encore, another Encore. This one 2 white, 2/2. Again, activated ability. Redirect 1 damage from Warrior Encore to a creature you control. Takes 0 mana to activate. And then he rounds it out with the classic, the White Knight. 2 white, 2/2. Pro black, first strike.
I like
So
it.
this is a classic White Weenie Horde. But with Tempest and Exodus, you have all sorts, and Stronghold.
You have
You have
protection, you have shadow, you have first strike. I like it. It's a package of creatures that looks pretty hard to deal with. And even if you do deal with some of them, there's redundancy and plenty of creatures to go around. So they keep coming.
nice little army there. Sorceries, you have Cataclysm. 4 Cataclysm. This is a rare from Exodus. 2 colorless, 2 white sorcery. Each player chooses from the permanents he or she controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land, and sacrifices the rest. This is a spell I've never cast, Alex. I just picked up a couple Cataclysms for the first time. I'm going to work them into some deck at
Mhm.
some point.
It's like a newer balance, since balance is too good and it's like a more balanced balance.
Mm-hmm. I haven't put it in a deck yet because it seems like it can be kind of tricky to get it right. Like this, you really have to play this at the right time. It's true for balance too, but yeah, this is a more balanced balance. It's a little harder to get right, and it costs 4 mana.
Mhm. Goes great with Tide though, and it goes great in a
It goes
low
great with
casting
Tithe.
cost weenie deck. So
It goes great. It goes great with Tithe. It goes great with low casting cost weenie deck, and it goes great when what you want to do with your deck is just get 1 creature on the board and pump that 1
within,
creature with 1 enchantment.
yeah.
So it's like it's perfect. It's perfect for this deck. Instance, you have 3 disenchants, gotta have them, and then 4 tithes. So I'm not used to seeing tithes without duels to fetch. But the thing about tithe in this deck is you can't go get your plateau, you can't go get your savannah or anything. But you could use tithe after you cataclysm. And you can also use tithe to potentially, get 2 planes and just bulk up your hand a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it, synergizes to some extent with Empyrial armor as
Oh yeah,
well.
yeah. Hmm.
And I think maybe that's why he packed his deck with 4 tithes, just a way to maybe get that hand size bigger if you want.
Okay.
If you have less land than your opponent, you can get 2 planes and give +2/+2 to your shadow creature. I don't know. Just it
Plus, I mean, it's just like deck thinning. You know what I mean? Like it just
it's deck thinning, yeah. But deck thinning is like always like the last thing I look at. With
yeah,
any with
right.
any yeah, with any card that can deck thin, I always throw that in as like a third benefit after the other 2 things I wanted to do. But
Mhm.
you are right. It is also deck thinning. Also get those, this deck doesn't need many lands to operate. You're pretty much running on all cylinders if you have 3 mana out. The only card in here that costs more than that is Cataclysm. But you can pretty much do anything you want with 3 mana. Once you have that 3 mana, you're going to want to pull more gas. You're going to want to pull as much gas as possible. So yeah, just cast Tide, get some of those planes out there, you're more likely to hit creatures.
Yeah.
Next draws. Enchantments, you have one Aura of Silence. This is just a card that comes in handy often. A lot of different metas. A lot of good artifacts and enchantments in the game. And then you have 4 Empyrial Armors, the real star of the show. Lands, 17 planes. Maybe these days, if I were going to remake this deck in Premodern, I would throw in some additional lands. Maybe that what's that white land? I can't remember if it's a legendary land or not, but it like nullifies damage from creatures. Core Haven.
Oh yeah, Core Haven. Okay.
Maybe I'd throw in a Core Haven or something just because when I'm playing white and Premodern, I like to throw in a Core Haven from time to time. Nemesis. Tapped, had 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or tap 1 white and 1 colorless. Pay 1 white and 1 colorless. Tap, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt by target attacking creature this turn. I think this comes in handy. This could come in handy a lot. Sometimes I feel like this card is underplayed. I don't see it very often, but especially when you have a white Weenie deck and you have to worry about maybe something huge on the other side, which you often have to worry about in Premodern these days because there's a lot of Terravores and Dreadnoughts coming your direction. And it's like, oh, what the hell am I going to do with my 2/2s? Well, maybe you just do nothing on defense with your 2/2s, have the Core Haven sop up all that Dreadnought damage, and then just push through. Push through with your 2 damage here, 2 damage there.
Also, there's no Swords to Plowshares in here.
Yes. There's no Swords to Plowshares in here. A note. I put this note in the show notes, but I forgot to mention it. Note that STP was not legal in standard at this time.
Okay.
So this deck actually won the Nationals during a time when Ice Age had rotated out of standard and White Weenie wasn't having such a good time. Because White Weenie becomes a lot weaker without STP. But
it's crazy that there was such a long stretch there where they didn't print it at all.
It is. It is. I learned that about a lot of different cards when we came back to Magic in like 2022 after 25 years away from the game or so. Like, it blew my mind when I learned that Lightning Bolt was not always a part of the game.
Yeah.
They decided it was too powerful. They replaced it with Shock. They didn't reprint Lightning Bolt for extended periods. Did the same thing with STP. I don't even know if STP is legal in standard right now. I don't keep up with that, but yeah, you have these staple cards that are just like key cards in the game. I can't imagine Magic without it. And then I learned that they were like extended periods of time where they just weren't. R&D had decided they were too powerful.
Yeah, but that's good though. It's nice to see that standard like format rotate. Like you don't want it to always be swords and lightning bolts, and
I get it, yeah, because then you just have all swords and lightning bolts all the time. Sideboard. Some interesting cards in the sideboard. You got 4 Abeyances, which we talked about recently.
That says 3.
That's what I meant to say. You got 3 Abeyances. Pretty much the sideboard is 3 Abeyance and mostly more removal to board in. So you have removal in the form of Afterlife. Again, this is a format where you don't have STP available to you. So if you're dealing with a lot of creatures that you have to handle on the other side of the battlefield, you maybe throw in an Afterlife. 2 colorless, 1 white instant. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller puts a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying into play. Some more Aura of Silences, 3 more to board in against an enchantment heavy or an artifact heavy deck. 1 more Disenchant, 1 more Soltari Visionary. So you got, a lineup of 3 cards right here, all to help you better deal with enchantments and or artifacts. Spirit Link. I always enjoyed the Spirit Link. This has always been one of my favorite cards.
Hard for me to decide when to include it or not include it in a deck. I'm always kind of like, I can throw a Spirit Link in,
I have it in a couple decks right now. Well, one, it's in the Commander deck, the first Commander deck we built. And that's just, you're dealing with a singleton format, so I can only play 1 STP. I put the Spirit Link in there as an additional way to deal with opponents' creatures potentially that I could also use on my own creatures. So there's almost always a use for it, if it's in your hand. And then I have it in Meddling Merfolk because I like to enchant I like using Spirit Link to enchant an opponent's creature until I pull my Rootwater Matriarch. And then when I get my root, so it just nullifies it until I pull my Rootwater Matriarch. And then when I get a Rootwater Matriarch on the board, I tap it and then I steal the Spirit Linked creature. That's a deck
Very
that
wise.
is not very good. It's very stressful for me to play. Every time I've played it against you, I'm literally stressed out when I play the deck because even when it wins, it like barely works, and I just want it to work so bad that it weighs on me. And then Tariff, also from Weatherlight. Didn't remember this card. 1 colorless, 1 white sorcery. Each player chooses a creature with the highest total casting cost he or she controls, then pays an amount of mana equal to that creature's total casting cost, or buries the creature. A pretty interesting removal spell to run in a Weenie deck
Yeah.
when you don't have STPs available to you.
Yes, I like that a lot for this deck.
I mean, the creature you're going to want to keep almost 100% of the time is just going to cost you 2 mana.
Yeah.
And it probably won't be the case for your opponent when you're playing this. Worthless against the Phyrexian Dreadnought. Almost worthless. They could have no mana open, and then you could get rid of it.
They could have 2 Phyrexian Dreadnoughts down.
They could have 2 Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, maybe get rid of 1. Yeah. So that's the sideboard. It's mostly, abeyance and removal. A lot of ways
Not
to
bad.
deal with enchantments or to bust up combos. The abeyance is really in here, I think, as a combo buster, and it came in handy against the ProsBloom deck.
Okay,
He
yeah.
actually used this to great effect, I think, in the finals match against Mike Long to disrupt the whole ProsBloom, all those shenanigans. Once things get started, abeyance, put an end to that. I think we actually at some point read an excerpt from an old I don't remember if it was in the Duelist or the Inquest or if it was just a message board post. I couldn't find it again for this episode. I gotta go. It's somewhere in the notes. But he was describing blow by blow, I think, the match between Lindy and Mike Long,
Oh, okay.
and how Lindy abanced right when Long was about to go
Now
off
that
with
you say
the
that, I sort of
ProsBloom
remember
combo.
us talking about, maybe it was in the episode when we talked about abeyance, but I sort of remember reading some primary source account of an
Yeah.
abeyance being used.
I went deep. Primary resources. We have advanced degrees over here. We know how to do our research. Mostly by looking at links that other people have posted. And it's like, oh yeah, you find some Usenet post from like 1997.
That's the gold.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the deck. Summary. Be fast, armor up a shadow creature. And then you can abeyance to disrupt combo, or also just to potentially buy yourself, just one more turn.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's all you need to
Redirect damage to your
deal lethal.
creatures with color protection, or to the creatures that you don't care about losing to save your Imperial armor creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it overall. It looks like a pretty tight deck.
I like it too. And I'm gonna we haven't played for a while, but next time we play, I want to just play this deck against you. And then I'll probably modify it. I got to think about how I want to change it for pre-modern. But
Mhm.
I just want an Imperial armor deck. I'm going to throw in a Core Haven
Yeah,
or
it makes
two.
me want to try it too. And I'm also looking at trying a few of these creatures or out in my white-red deck I'm working on.
Yeah, I knew you were working on at least one like enchant creature heavy deck, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe the Imperial armor will come in handy there. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I love it with Shadow, especially. So, and I am also working on a Shadow deck. I'm not working on, I have a Shadow deck. I have a couple Shadow decks. I've definitely played the blue-black one against you.
Yeah.
Did you play against the red-white one too?
I don't think so. No, I think you just played the one shadow
Okay.
deck against me.
I have a red white one too. It's mostly it's one I put together just because I wanted to play Marton Stromgold.
Mm.
But it can become a Marton Stromgold and Imperial Armor deck. I just did it. Just did it in my head. So yeah, Alex, that is White Weenie Matt Lindy 1998 US Nationals Standard.
Very good.
It's a deck that I like very much. And we're going to talk about another Matt Lindy deck in the not too distant future. Because maybe in 99, I think he placed in the top 8 somewhere with a mono green deck. So I'm loving this. I'm loving seeing these monocolored standard decks. They're doing really well. Because these Matt Lindy decks that I'm seeing from this era are very much along the lines of the decks that I've enjoyed building since I've come back to Magic and started playing pre-modern. I'm having a lot of fun just trying to see what I can do with the creature base in different monocolored decks. And I'm wanting to start with monocolored decks to reteach myself how to build decks. And I want to try to optimize a green deck, a white deck, a red deck. How about all the decks? I want to have a strong deck in all of the colors, a monocolored deck in all of the colors
Mm.
in pre-modern.
That's a fun goal.
And then once I get my starting five, I'm gonna start building other colors into them and see where I can take them. But it's just something that I'm enjoying doing. It's a good way for me to learn the card pool too.
Hmm.
Because every so often I have to sit down and have to be like, okay, let's look at all the cards in this color, what I can do with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Anywho, well, let's move on to segment two, Alex. That's enough white weenie for today. Segment two is going to be brief. There are podcasts that are covering this in depth. I'm just going to go through it quickly. The European Premodern Championships happened a couple weeks ago. This was just after LobsterCon. We talked very briefly about
Oh,
LobsterCon on our last episode. Again, we didn't go deep into it. Lots of other people go deep into it. Listen to Spike Colony with Mike Flores and Laney. Listen to uh shit, I forgot. I was gonna say the Duress Crew just started a podcast. It's called the Hardcast. That's what it's called. I haven't found it yet. I think they're just on episode 2. I don't know if they talked about LobsterCon, but I think their first episode might have been about some LobsterCon stuff. Listen to the I've Got Questions Pre-Modern podcast, which I can't remember if they changed their name or not, but if they didn't, you can at least find links to that podcast on the Well of Knowledge Patreon that we've talked about recently. And then what else is there? There's the Monster of the Week podcast that they talk about. They're Europeans. So they might have talked about the European Premodern Championships. I'm pulling it up real quick, just to see real quick. Alex, sing some music to entertain the listeners.
I appreciate your referencing of other podcasters and content creators to keep the viewers up to speed on what's happening and to send them off in different interesting directions.
Monster of the Week podcast, episode 76, not the most recent episode, but the one right before that, titled What is Going On, plus the European Championship in Prague. Seb and Anton have a chat about pre-modern European champs, the state of the meta, and some bans and finance. So yes, if you want to learn more about what happened at the European Premodern Championship, the Monster of the Week podcast is the place to go. And actually, that reminds me, Alex, episode 77, we have to look at this. The next episode, Seb and Anton had a chat with Magnus Holmstrom about his domain deck with Legacy Weapon that he played in the September Premodern Monthly. This was a really interesting brew. I hadn't seen anything quite like it. I don't see a lot of domain decks, and I don't see a lot of people running Legacy Weapon, so we have to look at that at some point. Maybe give it a spin on Moxfield.
Okay.
But anyways, the European Championship happened. It was held in Prague. It happened on September 20th through the 22nd. So 20th was a player meetup. The main event, Pre-Modern European Championship, was on the 21st of September. And Sunday event on the 22nd was the Czech National Championship in Dual Commander. So they're doing Dual Commander over there in Czech. I was going to say Czechoslovakia, Alex, but
We're old.
yeah. What is it now? Czechia? I'm really
I want to say the Czech Republic, but I think that's wrong too.
yeah, no, they something is the world is always evolving, people.
It is.
And I don't
Borders,
always
man-made borders. There.
Czechia.
Okay.
The Czech Republic, also known as Czechia and historically known as Bohemia, is a landlocked country in Central Europe. This is the part of the podcast where we read the Czech Republic.
Okay, so I think you can say the Czech Republic still.
You can, yeah. Okay. Man, I'm so ignorant.
I like Bohemia. They should go with Bohemia. It'd be cool.
This has changed a lot during my lifetime. So, I don't always keep up on current events, but I don't know why I almost said Czechoslovakia. It was all the way back in 1992. It was peacefully resolved.
Wow,
That was
really?
a long time ago.
Okay.
It doesn't seem that long ago, but anyways, that's not important.
Or it is.
Or it is. It is important. It's not important for this show. Dual Commanders happening in Czechia. Czechia. That's basically all I want to say. They had a guest artist, Jeff Lobenstein. Jeff Lobenstein. Either way, he made it all the way to Prague. And you can catch the whole damn live stream on YouTube. This is the other thing I wanted to tell people about. One, listen to the Monster of the Week podcast. Two, you can watch the whole damn live stream on Czech Premodern Magic, the YouTube channel. 947 subscribers. They should probably have more subscribers. And why am I not subscribed? I am now. 948 now. Subscription added. Can we see the number go up in real time? No, but I did it. I'm number 948. I got to pause that. It's an 11-hour and 54-minute, 58-second live stream, all on YouTube.
Wow, okay.
And then I just wanted to have a quick look at the top 8. This is all I've done so far. I need to dig into the podcast. I need to watch some of the live stream. I've been a little bit busy lately, so I haven't had the time to do that. This is not what I wanted to show. So I'll do this. Premodern. TC decks. I'm going to pull up. Oh, you know what? Right in the middle of the show, TC Dex went down. Unable to connect to database. Too many connections. Let me do this. Maybe TC Dex isn't down. Maybe something's just going on for me. But I think the website might have gone down. So forget it. We don't need no stinking website. Alex, I have the screenshot over here in the show notes. All I wanted to say was the top 8 was interesting to me. So if you remember from, 2 weeks ago now, when we briefly looked through LobsterCon, Dreadnought was running wild over there. So in the top 8, there were 0 Dreadnought decks in the European Premodern Championship. So the meta is very different. The Premodern European Championship was won by a burn deck. In position 1, in the top spot, you have Jiri Moravec. He came in with burn. I was excited to see that because I'm not a burn player, but I do love to see burn take down a major tournament because pretty much everybody can afford to build a burn deck. Especially now. In pre-modern, I will say the burn decks get pricier than they are in other formats, probably, or at least they're pricier than, the most basic burn decks we made back in the day in like the revised era, because pre-modern burn typically runs 8 different fetch lands: Wooded Foothills, Bloodstained Mires, and it's all to get those cards into your graveyard to feed the Grim Lavamancer, to activate Barbarian Ring. And, those fetch lands are expensive. But it has gotten cheaper recently to build those pre-modern burn decks, because if you're not tied to having just the original printing of those fetch lands, they They were just reprinted in what?
Modern Horizons 3.
That's what I thought. Yeah, Modern Bloodstained Mire, Modern
Yeah,
Horizons
because
3.
I got a Bloodstained Mire out of that pack
Ah,
I
okay.
opened. And I like the art on them. I think they're pretty cool looking.
The cheapest one
The
right now,
borderless ones mostly, but
the cheapest one right now is $11.88. So, or this is $10 market price. Whereas the original was over 50, maybe. Yeah, from Onslaught, $51. And
mhm.
before the reprint, we were talking 70 to $80. So
Yeah, when you
it's
have to
already
put
cut.
4 or 8 in a deck,
Yeah. So Burn went from a budget deck to quite an expensive deck if you needed to include all 8 fetch lands, which these Onslaught fetch lands had not been reprinted for a very long time until Modern Horizons 3. So now it made the price a lot cheaper. Still not cheap. You're talking about 8 different $10 to $15 cards, but
yeah,
that's
but still a lot better. Yeah.
way better than 8 $70 to $90 cards or whatever. Burn took down the top spot. Second spot, you had Terrageddon. Third spot, you had an Oath Ponza deck. So I'm assuming that's a Terra Oath deck. So you got Terrageddon, a Terravore deck. Fourth place, you had Tide Control. Fifth place, you see a Growatog. I always love seeing a Growatog in the top 8. That's just a fun deck to pilot, a fun deck to watch. 6, you have Elves. 7, you have another Burn. So 2 Burn in the top 8. 8th was a Rogue Brew. I can't look up exactly what that Rogue Brew was because TC Dex is down for me right now. Thanks, TC Dex. You're ruining the goddamn show. Although I shouldn't be so demanding because you do a lot for the show and we don't give anything back to you in return. Can we send money to TC Dex? I owe TC Dex actually, even though they're shitting out for me right now. They're doing their best and they do a really good job. They bring me a lot of deck lists. So Burn player took down the tournament. Not a Dreadnought in sight. My third major take home was again no goblins in the top 8.
Oh, okay.
That was another thing that kind of surprised me about LobsterCon. Not a single goblin deck in the top 8. Was expecting to see a goblin deck in the top 8 because I know lots of people brought goblins and it's a very powerful deck. So I don't know if here's something I just need to think about for a little while. I don't know if the preponderance of, well, I was going to say maybe the preponderance of these big bad decks, Phyrexian Dreadnought decks, Terravore decks, is just putting, goblins in a bad spot in the current meta. But then I see here European Championships, no goblins in the top 8, but we got no dreadnoughts also. So we got no mono blue dreadnoughts full of blue elemental blasts and then 12/12 tramplers. Don't know. But
I'm
that's
okay
all
with
I
that.
want. You say?
I said I'm okay with that.
Oh, you're dreadnoughts.
I'm not a big Dreadnought fan. I don't know.
I wasn't either. We talked about this before before I really started to learn what the dreadnought decks were like, really how they were designed, how they were piloted. Some of the earliest episodes of this podcast when we were still really learning the basics, like the basic card pool of pre-modern. And we hadn't played Magic for a very long time. We just remembered Phyrexian Dreadnought as that card from Mirage that we couldn't really do anything with. I don't know
Yep.
what you did with it back in the day. You could play it in the fairest way possible, which is literally sacrifice like 12 power toughness worth of. What exactly does Phyrexian Dreadnought say? Is it 12 power or is it 12 toughness? Doesn't matter either way because it's 12/12, but
I think it's power.
I think it's power too. I can't remember the exact language on the Dreadnought. But yeah, all you could really do back in the day is play it in the fairest way possible, which is sacrifice creatures with a total power of 12 or more to get the Dreadnought into play. Or you could play with Illusionary Mask. I think it still worked with Illusionary Mask back then. I don't know if some of the rules have been changed and that something was changed that allows it to work with Illusionary Mask now and it didn't previously, but I never even thought about that because none of us had Illusionary Mask, so it was irrelevant. But yeah, then we get back into Magic. We learn about pre-modern. We see
What
dreadnoughts, and it's like Oh, you just played Dreadnought with Stifle. 2 mana, you cheated 12/12 on the board. Or you play with Vision Charm. 2 mana, you've cheated a 12/12 on the board. It almost seemed, I was going to say it almost seemed unfair and too good, and it kind of is unfair and too good. Part of the allure of Dreadnought was the insane downside. It's almost too easy to get out now. But anyways, what were you going to say? I feel like you were going to say something.
Oh, nothing. I answered my own question.
I'm just ranting about Dreadnought.
You're fine.
I got lost. I don't even know where I was. I went on this anti-Dreadnought. I went on this Dreadnought rant. But okay, yeah. Here's where I was going. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, this is cheap. It's too easy. But then when I really learned more about how the decks are put together, when I learned more about the pre-modern meta, when I started building my own decks, I'm like, it's not really too easy. The decks
do the other things.
The decks that are actually winning the tournaments, these big high-level tournaments in pre-modern, are designed and piloted in ways that are very clever. Like, it is too easy to put together a middling Dreadnought deck. That is true. But that's not what the people are doing that are winning LobsterCon.
Oh,
the decks are actually a lot. Yeah. So they're a lot more interesting than I gave them credit for being when I first saw people cheating Dreadnought into play. And it was Stifle and Vision Charm. So I've gained a new appreciation for them, how they're designed and piloted. Because again, it's not only just about getting the Dreadnought into play, it's about protecting the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And it's about assembling the correct cards in your hand and doing it fast enough so your opponent doesn't kill you first, responding to everything.
Getting the balance correct.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. So renewed appreciation. But really all I wanted to say is European Premodern Championship, interesting top 8. Burn took it down. Again, no goblins. And they hate Phyrexian Dreadnought in Czechia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And that's it. That's it for now. I think maybe we'll dig into some of these decks in the future. I just haven't had the time to really dig into and break down some of these decks in the top 8 of the LobsterCon and European Premodern Championship. And also, now that I think about it, I don't think I want to, because I started this segment. People are already doing that. And the people that are doing that play a lot more Magic than we do, and they play it at a higher level. So maybe I'll just stay in my goddamn lane. Alex, is there anything you wanted to say about European Premodern Championship?
I wanted to mention Reset.
Or about anything. Yeah, I said about European Premodern Championship, but anything.
Just a comment I wanted to throw out there that I've noticed some it seems like there's some, activity around some of the cards that are currently banned in speculation that they might become unbanned. For example, like Tolarian Academy, I've seen on the movers list, and I've seen I think Rofalos was seeing some action.
Oh no. I've always wanted to buy a Tolarian Academy just because I'm like, oh, what if it becomes unbanned? But then I never did that, because it's asking a lot for me to spend $100 on a card just to be like, oh, maybe it'll be unbanned one day. And then what? And then what, Steve? You won't want to sell it.
True.
Oh man, yeah, look at this. It is spiking significantly. In the course of a month, it's gone up like 60%. What is behind this? Does this have something to do with the announcement of Wizards that they're taking over Commander?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought, is that, these are cards that are responding to the whole kerfluffle about.
But I just wonder why people think now that, like, so there's so much I don't know about this situation, but what was it? The Commander Rules Committee
Uh-huh.
What makes people think that now that the Commander's Rules Committee is no more and Wizards is kind of taking over as the
I don't know.
steward
I'm
of
not sure
the
exactly what the
format,
rationale is. Maybe
what
it's
makes
more
them
that. Sorry, go ahead.
what makes them think that like Wizards would unban Tolarian Academy and Commander? Like Wizards banned Tular they were the ones that banned Tolarian Academy in like formats older than Commander, you know?
Yeah, I don't. My thought is maybe that it's more that like people will locally like go off on their own about, like start just disregarding whatever the ban list is or something and like construct their own ban lists or open up play, you know, themselves in their local communities, maybe.
This is what I wondered, and that's what I thought maybe you were going to say. And then my response to that, this is an argument with you. I know
Mhm.
we're just spitballing what people
Yeah.
might be thinking, but my response would then be it could always be it always could have been and always can be that way. So like I'm just wondering maybe it's the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Just this whole event like got people thinking about this again and they're like,
Yeah, I
"Oh
think
yes,
that's
that's right."
mostly that's probably the best way to summarize it. It's just speculation based on people kind of like reevaluating the whole situation and playing field. This
Your
person says,
relation.
I suspect this is in light of WOTC taking over Commander RC. As with all the Commander ban cards, this is speculation at best. The next person says, yeah, I can definitely see them taking some stuff off the ban list. Tolarian Academy is not one of those cards.
Yeah. That was always been my thought. I've always looked at Tolarian Academy, I'd be like, "Oh man, if this is unbanned, it's going to be more expensive than Gaia's Cradle." And then it's like, if
Yeah.
this is unbanned,
A lot of people just in a row like it's never getting unbanned. This isn't going to get unbanned. So I'm not sure exactly, what the deal is here, but I
it's a
noticed it.
menace.
Yeah, it is a
This
menace.
card is a goddamn menace.
And I noticed the Rofalos Llanowar Emissary is going up some too.
Less of a menace, and I'm all for this
Less
being
of a menace.
unbanned because
Mhm.
I bought one a long time ago. So now I have a Rofalos.
It's yeah.
Less of a menace. I mean, if you sneeze in this guy's direction, he's dead. So
Yeah.
there definitely been times when he's been really good. He's in some really interesting decks from back in the day and can be powerful if you don't get rid of him. But yeah,
But
two
it's
one,
vulnerable and
so
therefore
vulnerable.
not like, game breaking, maybe.
Add one green mana to your mana pool for each forest you control. When you tap them, 2/1 for 2/2.
Very good.
Yeah, I like it.
When I first learned about this card, when we started checking out pre-modern cards, I was like, whoa, I need this. Then I saw it was banned in at least what's it banned? It's banned in Commander.
It's
Is it
banned in
legal in
Commander.
pre-modern?
I believe it is. This is my memory.
Yeah, I don't
And
see it on the ban list here.
I believe it's uh, I believe it's legal and pre-modern, and despite that, it never gets played in any of the top decks because
Did they just unban it recently?
I don't think so. Ban list. Yeah, no Rofalos. So yeah, I was confused when I saw Rofalos was banned in Commander, but there might be very obvious reasons why that I just don't remember that I'm to just start registering. I guess in Commander the issue is here's the difference. I mean, Rofalos is a legend. So Rofalos in Commander always opens up in your command zone.
Okay.
And then you have extremely reliable ramp early on every game. And you
Okay.
need to get forests out for it to really start going crazy. But there's ways to get more than one forest out
And you can keep bringing them back for,
reliably. Yeah.
3 mana, 4 mana, for not too
Yeah.
much. So,
So maybe the issue in Commander is that he always starts in your command zone. You can always play him very early in the game reliably. Maybe. I'm spitballing, but that seems reasonable. It's at least one major difference between playing Rofalos and Commander and playing Rofalos and Premodern. You know, Premodern, he doesn't get to start right there in your command zone. He's in the deck. You got to draw him. But I haven't been looking at the interests page. I don't know what else is moving.
That's most of what I noticed. There is one. Where's the card now? I'm going to forget what it's called.
Because I'm not buying much recently. Although I am buying I'm buying the thing that I buy every month, and I have been buying every month for like 6 or 7 months now. Just arrived today. I got another copy of the Best Beta Forest.
Uh-oh.
Coalition victory from Invasion is up 34.5%. Why were these things moving? 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green. Sorcery, you win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color. We could look into that some other time. I don't have the answer for that. Just thought that was interesting. Anywho,
I
Alex.
can't find the thing I'm looking for. I'll try to remember next time for the updates.
Anywho. Parallax Wave has gotten a lot more expensive since LobsterCon.
I have seen that on. There's a green card that's from like Nemesis or
Oh, sorry, Parallax Wave is the white one. Oversold Terrain. Oversold Terrain is a green card from Nemesis. Does it something to do with lands?
I can't remember. Sorry.
Good segment, Alex.
Great segment, huh?
It's the end of the show, people. Listen,
We're tired.
Yeah, we got much to say.
I'll find it.
Much. I screwed up I said Czechoslovakia.
I forgot to say swamp when I said the lands.
That worked out though. That made the segment better. I enjoyed it. Well, Alex, I think I'm going to head out first. I almost said episode 72, but this is episode 102. Is there anything you want to say to the loyal listeners that made it this far before I stop recording for the
Thanks.
day?
Thanks again for coming. Tell people about our cast. Check out the other podcasts that other people have that we mention. Check out our affiliate link.
Thank you to whoever clicked that affiliate link. That was a joy. That brought joy to me. That was a wonderful surprise. Nobody's been clicking that link for a very long time. The link was active for the first few months when we had it up, and I was excited about that. I want to thank all those people too. But then TCG Player made some kind of change, and then we started getting nothing. But then somebody came through the other day with 84 cents. It was the highlight of my day, possibly my week. I don't know. It hasn't been a full week since I saw that. So something else might happen over the next 2 or 3 days that will become the highlight. But I guess for now it was the highlight of my week and is the highlight of my week. Follow us at all the places. What are all the places we're at, Alex? We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can follow us on Moxfield. We have 3 followers on Moxfield so far. If you want to be the 4th, you know where to find us. You might think, oh, I'll find you at Old Mage MTG on Moxfield. No, actually, it's Old Men Magic at Moxfield. But you don't have to remember that. All you have to remember is that the link to our Moxfield will be in the description below. You click that link, you hit the follow button. Next minute, you're following us on Moxfield. What can you see on our Moxfield, Alex? I did say next minute. What can they see on our Moxfield, Alex?
All the decks we talk about on the show.
Pretty much. I probably left a couple out accidentally, but pretty much all the decks we talk about on the show, at least all the ones we go into depth and really break down on the show, will be on our Moxfield. What else might they find on our Moxfield, Alex?
Decks that we're working on.
Decks that we're working on. I'm going to start adding some more brews. I think I'm going to have Alex port some more pre-modern brews.
I should. Yeah, I should send some of mine. I haven't put any of mine over on there.
So you'll see some of our brews that we're playing against each other. some point in the not too distant future, I might get to play my decks against somebody other than Alex too, because I have a play date coming up this weekend. That's very exciting. We'll see how it goes. We're gonna play some Magic.
I wish you well
Might
on your
drink.
play date.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I had a play date, Alex. This is my first play date at a bar. Last time I had a play date, I wasn't of the legal age to drink. So that's it. Follow us on the places. If you purchase cards from TCG Player, which you should, I mean, I do. It's a decent place. I mean, you should purchase them from other places too. I also purchase from other places. You know, what are some other places? Alex, Finch and
Your
Sparrow.
local LGS, for
Oh,
example.
of course, local LGS, Finch and Sparrow. If you live wherever Finch and Sparrow is, somewhere in California, then that could be your local LGS. I like that place. They always send me cards that are in nice condition. Exactly what I order. Alex likes MTG Seattle. If you're in Seattle, that's one of your local LGSs too. What's the local LGS I've gone to recently, Alex?
All
Maxine's
American
Bargain
cards.
Bin.
Oh,
What did you say?
I said all American cards and comics in
Oh, yes,
Boardman and Warren, Ohio.
All American Cards and Comics in Boardman and Warren, Ohio. We are open for sponsorships, All American, if you're listening. And follow us on Moxfield. That's it. That's all I have to say. I'm done for the day. Peace
Thank
out.
you.
I ain't gonna do this anymore. That's all from me. Goodbye.